Hey y'all, I am Michelle Mazelleغ. Welcome back to my channel. I'm going to share with you all this video clip and then I'm going to come back and talk about it. So let's get into it.
Okay, I don't know how many more black creators have to say this for y'all to get it through your heads, but no one is saying that you are not African. That's not what we're saying. What we are saying is, if you are in America and you are now an American citizen, no one else in this fucking country cares that you call yourself African, are from Africa. When you get in this country that was built off racism, it all goes out the window. That is what we were trying to get through y'all's heads. No one is saying that your ethnicity does not exist. We are saying that Americans see you as black. You are black when in America. Point blank, period. You can claim yourself as Congolese, you can claim yourself as Nigerian, you can claim yourself as Kenyan. But let me tell you something, honey, these white people do not give a crap that you are Congolese, Nigerian, Kenyan, whatever you are. You are black. You are the N-word with a hard ER. That's what you are to them. So you need to wake up, because we're actually trying to help y'all. We're trying to help you realize that in this country, things are different. But you can walk around being delusional if you want to. Go ahead, because I'm tired. At this point, there's nothing else I can say to make y'all realize that you're not in Africa anymore. You're in America, and things are way different. And for the record, I have been to Africa, was there for 2 weeks, loved it. It was amazing. Can't wait to go back in December. I do know that in Africa, when I go there, they call me American. They do. Because I am American. In Africa, here in America, I'm black, just like you are. So get with it.
So there are different nuances to being black in the United States of America. And I'm assuming that she's speaking on the race part of being black in the United States of America. So she wants black immigrants to know that when they come to the United States, if they get stopped by the police, if they are wrongly accused of doing something in the store, if they are discriminated against in the workplace, if they are looked at funny, if they move to a neighborhood where it's predominantly, people that don't look like us that live there, it is because they are black. That is the reason why they're receiving that type of unequal treatment. And so she's saying that when you get to the United States, people that don't look like us are pretty much going to put you in the same pool as black people in the United States, and they're just going to identify you as black. They're not going to stop and ask you what country you're from. They're just going to see your skin color. They're going to identify you as black, and that's the way they're going to treat you. Now, that definitely is a conversation that needs to be had when black immigrants come to the United States, because they are not fully aware of the climate of America. They probably have seen it on TV. They probably have heard about it, but to actually experience it is a different situation. So that definitely is a conversation that when they get to the United States, to understand the climate of America when it comes to race, because race dictates life in the United States of America. And since that's the case, you have black immigrants that are coming from countries where they didn't have to think about race. If they are the majority in that country, they didn't have to think about race. They didn't have to think about prejudicial situations. They didn't have to think about discrimination, because they're living in a country where they are the majority. But when you're moving to a country where you are the minority, more than likely you might experience that racist environment, and you have to know what it looks like. You have to know what it feels like. But there's not really nothing that a black person in the United States can say to prepare any black immigrant for if that happens. Not to say when, if it happens. they'll have to experience it for themselves. Because even if, as a black person in the United States, I tell you, as a black immigrant, this is the climate of the United States, you are not going to be really looking for it. You're not going to be really privy to it as we are, because it's something that we have to deal with all the time. And there might be some black immigrants who would say that they don't think it's as bad as black people make it out to be, and that is because they don't have an eye for it. They don't have an ear for it, because if it's not something that they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, then normal situations where we would be like, okay, that would be indirect racism right there. They might not catch that because it's not something that they have readily before had to look for.
I didn't think of myself as black when I was in Nigeria. So we identify on the basis of ethnicity and religion, but not race, because we don't need to.
What is definitely confusing though about this lady who is saying that when black immigrants get to the United States of America, they need to identify as black and they just need to stop the madness, is that when you get into the black community, however, that's where the distinction starts to happen. It starts to happen in the black community. There are black people in the United States, black Americans as they call themselves, who don't want to associate themselves with black immigrants. They want that distinction. They want to know the Ghanaians and Nigerians and Jamaicans. They want to have that distinction, and they want to have their own distinction. They want to be seen as black people from the United States, and they want the black immigrants to be seen as a whole different entity. So now it's a different situation now. And I feel like that in her case, she wants black immigrants to be identified as black so that they can understand the struggle. So with the racism part, prejudice part, discrimination part, it's okay for black immigrants to identify as black, because then they can understand what black people in the United States have been talking about for however long. But when it comes to then going into that black community and speaking on issues that they see, speaking on issues that they encounter in the black community that maybe they want to change, maybe they want to improve, then all of a sudden black people in the United States of America, they don't want black immigrants to identify as black now. Now they want them to identify as the country that they're from. So it's confusing. To me, if you want them to identify black when it comes to people that don't look like them, then they should be able to identify as black when they're around people that look like them.
So I said Kamala Harris is not a black woman. She is a Indian, Jamaican, American immigrant.
But this lady in the video is talking about you want black immigrants to identify as black. And the only time you want them to do that is when struggling is involved. Other than that, you don't want them to identify as black. Because if that's the case, y'all will be talking about, some of y'all that are questioning this lady's identity or where, how she decides to be identified as. If she decides to be black, that's her bag, that's her, if that's how she identifies. You're not questioning this lady based on her politics or her issues, what she's going to do for the country or nothing. That's not what's been questioned. It's been questioned because her parents are immigrants. That's all. If they were both from the United States of America, she would be black, and y'all know that. So that's my issue with that whole thing. Like, if you want black immigrants to be black, then let them be black. They can be black in the political office that they're running for. And if they want to be able to speak on black issues, they should be able to speak on black issues. Y'all let everybody else speak on it. Because if as a black immigrant, they have come to the United States, they have lived here long enough to know how the United States is. They are U.S. citizens, because you have to be a U.S. citizen in order for you to be able to run for any type of political office. You have to be a U.S. citizen. If they're a U.S. citizen of the United States, they've been here for a long time, They understand and sympathize with the struggles of Black people. They are there for the fight. They are there to empower. They are there to support. It doesn't matter if they're from Haiti or Jamaica or Ghana or Nigeria. If they are there to help and uplift and support the Black people in the United States, then they should be able to do that with nobody saying anything about it. Because at the end of the day, just like this lady said, majority of the Black people in the United States, when it comes to Black immigrants, want them to identify as Black when they get to the United States and be mad when they don't. So if that's the case and this Black immigrant runs for office and says they're Black, there should be silence going on in the room. Why are people upset that they're identifying as Black? Why are you upset? Why are some of y'all upset when they're speaking on Black issues? If that's what you want them to be, you want them to be Black. That's the way everybody else sees it, right? Nobody's looking at Joy Reid on MSNBC and saying, well, she can't speak on Black issues because her parents are from Jamaica. Nobody's saying it about that, about Joy Reid. Nobody's saying anything about Busta Rhymes when he was sitting over there doing all that hip hop culture. But as soon as he says something that some of the Black people in the community didn't like, now all of a sudden he's not Black anymore. Now he's an immigrant again. Because he said something that some Black people in the Black community didn't like. Now all of a sudden he is no longer Black. Foregoing all this hip hop that he's done. There ain't nobody talk about that man being an immigrant. But as soon as he says something contrary, now all of a sudden he's an immigrant now. You know, that I don't understand. I just don't understand that. If you want them to identify as Black, then let them identify as Black. It shouldn't matter that they say something that you don't like, in the Black community. If they are a part of the community, if they're standing for the community, if they're uplifting it and they're empowering it and they're doing for it, then they should be able to speak for the Black community just like any other Black person that's from the United States of America. There should not be a pick and choose. They shouldn't just have to be Black when they're struggling. Like, when are we going to get out of that type of mentality? That, if you can't be Black if you ain't been through some struggles. Being Black should not always have struggle attached to it. Shouldn't always have discrimination attached to it. Shouldn't always have prejudicial situations attached to it. There should be a time where we detach ourselves from all that and we are able to move forward. We're moving forward into success. We're moving forward to doing things our way. We're moving forward to empowerment. We're moving forward to wealth. We're moving forward. And it shouldn't always be because you didn't struggle, then you don't know anything about being Black. Because like you said, whether they struggle or not, whether they experience racism or not, whether they experience discrimination or not, if they're stopped by the police, if they're in the workplace, if they're somewhere, there's going to be somebody that is going to remind them that they're Black. It may or may not happen, but they don't have to go through the struggle for them to be able to know that they are Black. And there's nothing wrong with teaching and educating, but there is something wrong with picking and choosing when they can be Black. When the struggle's there, they can be Black. When they're starting to speak on issues, they cannot be. And there also is a problem when you're trying to force something for people that have no understanding, and you want people to be compassionate about your struggle, but you don't want to be compassionate about somebody else's. That is always going to be a problem. All right, y'all. I am Mazelleغ. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.